Alright, it's time for another tale from the Dungeon Master, and we're finally coming back to the Apocalypse Squad. Now, since it's been a while since I've done one of these, I'm going to quickly recap. 2011, when my friends and I switched from D&D 3.5 to Pathfinder, we decided that we were going to test the limits of the system with level 20 characters, and each of them decided to either bring in a previous character they played, like the case of the human cleric, the Aasimar paladin, and the drow rogue. They kept the same race, but modified their class, as was the case of the half-elf sorcerer coming from a wizard, and the dwarven mountain druid coming from a berserker. And then we have a brand new character in the human monk. Now, each of them took a previous campaign and used it as their heroic backstory. The human cleric stopped a blood cult from taking over a nation. The Aasimar paladin personally killed the Lich King. The drow rogue took down a clan leader who was part of a cult that was going to destroy her race. The half-elf sorcerer closed a rift in the sky that was letting, I can't remember exactly what, but this predates Dragon Age Inquisition, so yeah. And then the dwarven druid slew the white dragon, threatening his mountain home. And then the brand new character, the human monk, had been trapped in hell, had demonic runes carved painfully into his skin, and then, while still aware, sealed in a coffin. Once again, this predates Doom 2016. And now we're actually on an important story where hell was unleashed upon Golarion, the Pathfinder planet. And the Apocalypse Squad has been trying to gather armies, allies, and whatnot to free the world and to, free the monk from his demonic runes and transform them into something better. And those are the two stories of the that were throughout this apocalyptic scenario. Now, I don't remember most of the stories, and I've lost my notes, so all I have left is coming to the end. At this point, the human monk they found his true name, and they purged the demonic influence from him, and actually had him become an angel of the Overgod. Now, this is impossible, but I figure it's like the Overgod, while who does nothing, the hub on which all of reality spins, decided, is like, okay, I'm gonna bless this monk and make him my agent in this world. So they load up their allies, the dwarves, the paladin orders of both the cleric and the paladin, the drow, warriors from negative material plane, which is one of the stories I forgot, and basically any armies that they could get, any magic they could get, all there. So they finally went into the hell realm that was the cause of this, and they fought their way through. And they fought their way through to a demon lord who had delusions of grandeur. He intended to corrupt the entire multiverse through his realm, gather its power, and take on the Overgod. So this was an epic encounter. The Apocalypse Squad is using everything that they had. Their magic, their weapons, their skills, their combat wagon, which is in a previous story. So, all of this angelic might of our monk friend. And by the end of this battle, they're all exhausted, and the big bad evil guy seems to be untouchable. So what the monk decides to do is he decides to channel all of his angelic power into one final strike. And if it kills him, it kills him. And he just lays in to this demon lord. And because of the power that he was granted through the overgod, this demon lord starts to disintegrate. So as the demon lord is fading, the angelic influence is leaving the monk's body. And eventually, through Herculean effort, through all of these armies, all of these people, they beat the demon lord. But it's not over just yet. Because you see, the monk, now fully human, senses a familiar presence. So they have to rest because, they have no idea what's going on. But the monk's like, we have to go further into this castle. We have to find the dungeon. So they head down deep into this dungeon, and they find a godling, a child god that has a connection to the overgod. And the monk, over 1,000 years ago, was tasked as this protector. That's why he went rampaging through the hells. It's because he wanted to retrieve his charge and complete his duties. Sadly, though, this was not meant to be. You see, the big bad evil guy, he caused this godling, this child, severe brain damage. So this child is using all of its power all the time, not realizing what it's doing or why, and was empowering this demon lord. And yeah. Now the monk who remembers this child, remembers what they were supposed to be, just breaks down because this was his charge, and this isn't what they're supposed to be. But the godling recognizes the monk, and they have a heartfelt reunion, even though the monk feels that he failed this godling. So, after all is said and done, they leave the dungeon, leave the Hell Realms, and find an emissary of the Overgod, which, I know is not normally a thing, but in this instance, yeah. And the Overgod takes the Godling. And he's just like, the emissary tells the party, he's like, I'll make sure that this godchild is taken care of. You don't have to worry anymore, monk. You can stand down. But the monk just feels horrible, which, you would be too in that situation. And that's where I left the story at that time. They saved the world, saved the realms. Everybody has a reason to celebrate, but it's a melancholy victory for our monk, because for the rest of his life, he's going to feel like this is his greatest failure, that after 1,000 years, that his charge was never going to be the same. But that closes the book on the Tales from the Apocalypse Squad. From this point forward, I'll have other D&D stories, other Pathfinder stories, Vampire the Masquerade, GURPS, whatnot. But that's it. Take care of yourselves. Peace.